I am resident of Taller for YouTube. Jules Sage, that is Vickie, that is Tom Diamond. We are here to continue our reviews of the Time Tunnel series. Guys, gals, Marco Polo. Anyway,
Marco Polo. Yeah, I know.
yeah,
I was a bit sure.
yes,
I was thinking that Marco Polo. Yeah.
yes. So they get back in time to what was supposed to be
All
what
right,
Genghis
what do we
Khan,
go back to the
the
1287?
barbarians,
It
the
Yeah,
wasn't
barbarians,
Genghis
1287.
Khan. It was his
or
grandson back
his
who was not a
grandson.
real person.
Yes, yes. So they're using fictional nonsense to
Tony
tell.
is tortured until Doug stages a rescue, but when he gets there, Tony doesn't want to go because he's got the 7-year itch like Spot gets every once in a while. He just, I'm sorry, but on close-ups, I don't get it, guys. Okay, I don't know, maybe it's the makeup they had all over her face, but come on now.
It was bland as
It was,
far
I don't
as
know if it was bland. I was just like, I was hoping they were going to show Kubla Khan and all that instead of falling in love with, what's her name, Saeed, the daughter of Kubla Khan, or was it the
Sarit.
granddaughter? Yeah.
Sarit, the granddaughter, I
Tariq,
think it
Tariq.
was. Sarit, the granddaughter. And
Yeah,
somebody in the research I was saying, somebody said that that was the same actress that was in the Robert Duvall episode with the gold.
I don't recognize her
I
as
don't
that.
think so. I don't think so. I think this was a totally
Well,
this
Tony
was a
definitely
totally
complicated everything by falling in love in like 5 minutes. How do you fall in love that quick? Okay, I know that there's love struck people and love happens, but come on. And I mean, like they had a lot to talk about. He didn't even speak Mongolian.
That's right. None of them speak Mongolian. And that's the thing. She'd have to teach him, and he'd have to teach her English.
See, that was
And
my
in the
favorite
mean,
part. We need privacy. It's like, okay, sure.
and I think that there was a scene that they cut out where they were making out, and they just Tony drew away from her in the beginning of the scene.
Maybe.
Uh, yeah, but the bottom line was there was some nice interplay between Doug and Tony, and Tony saying, "Get off my back." I mean,
Yeah, basically.
who the hell do you think? That's kind of unusual
Well, he
because
got imprisoned and tortured to begin with, though, for their because they had a strange arrival. And then I'm trying to remember what movie that was where I seen that movie where they're pushing the Mongols off the cliff. And I that movie is driving me nuts. I was looking all over trying to figure out which one that
they did
was.
a lot of they did a lot of scenes from movies for this one.
Well, they took the Mongols, 1965, Flame of
Hmm.
Araby, 1951, Golden Blade, 1953, Princey Was a Thief, 1951, Sword of the Conqueror, 1960, Genghis Khan, and Taras Bulba.
Taras Bulba. I remember Taras Bulba. I mean,
Yeah,
I
so they
didn't see
really
it, but I remember that. I was a baby. It was in
yeah,
the early
they
60s.
took yeah, they got a lot of
That was
they took a lot of they used a
well,
lot of stuff.
that's
They
an
really
excellent
recycled a lot of
summation,
feature
Vicky.
film. Well, they really recycled a lot of feature film battle footage because they had to. I mean, as far as this is like one of their more epic. I mean, they had an epic one before, but they tried to make this one look panoramic, sweeping.
Hmm.
For
Hmm.
this one. And they
I
got
just
Tony and Doug mount the daring rescue using their gunpowder, of which Marco Polo is not sure of what they could do with gunpowder. And it's true that he did work for Kubla Khan. So, I mean, they got that right
right, 12 years,
in various different
according to
parts
the episode.
of Mongolia. Yeah.
And he was on the way to take Sarit back to Italy for to show her off for the first time when Tony and Doug popped up. And but Tony, it just
It seems too far out of place and too random for him to lose his head right now. But I guess I guess maybe PTSD, lots of travel. They're getting lonely. They're getting funky. They're probably getting tired of being in a time loop all the time. So I'm assuming, well, he
Well,
wants to
another
fall
three
in love and
episodes,
have
they'll
a
be out
normal
of a
life.
job. Another three, 4 episodes, they'll be out of a job.
Well,
So
yeah,
everybody
well
else starting
that's
to get
true.
tired.
But they were trying.
Yeah,
I think that they were running. I don't know what they were running out of steam at this point, but it seemed
I
like
think so.
it was kind of a haphazard episode. I mean, I didn't hate it. I actually was mildly entertained by it because I wasn't expecting Tony to fall in love in 5 minutes after he was tortured and whatnot. And he just wakes up. It's just like, wow, look at her. There's a hot babe, But I wasn't really understanding the chemistry between them because obviously, I guess I'm nitpicking because they wouldn't have spoke the same language and they would not. They were separated by 700 years of history. So Doug had that spark. He was trying to talk Tony down. Well, we've got to work here. He goes, we've got to do this. And he didn't want to go on. And then you have Lee Merriweather crying because they're torturing Tony, or freaking out because they're torturing him. But I mean, I've seen worse. I guess I'm just a desensitized person. I mean, after 3 or 4 episodes of watching Terrifier, nothing bothers me anymore. I don't know. What do you
Well,
think, Joel?
I like the torture sequence. That was fun. I like the scenery that you get in this episode. The
Yeah,
castle setting. The castle setting actually looked great, which was really cool. The set design was awesome. I do
they
love
actually did do
the.
a good job.
Mhm. I do like the romantic interest because, again, even though they know they're not coming back for a second season, I do feel the writers could have played with a lot more of it here too. Okay, we could leave this with a twist. Is our
Right.
one of our characters going to stay in time in the past? Question
mm-hmm,
mark. But they
mm-hmm.
That's
don't.
true. They could
So
have done something with that, knowing that the series was going to end. I didn't think of that either. That's a good point.
but I do like that aspect of it. And hey, we got a very familiar actor who was all over television at times.
Yeah,
Who
very young
who
at this point too.
yeah he worked with Bruce Lee. He was in a ton of horror movies, A Nightmare on Elm Street. He was in the original
Yep,
Black Christmas. I mean, my God.
Night Stalker. He's been done a lot of stuff.
Yep,
Well,
lots of
Anne was
that.
very, should we really leave him there? And that was very different from the scientist Anne that we
He was
saw.
emotional. Yeah,
Yeah,
she
she
wanted
got
to leave
very
him there.
emotional. Maybe we should leave him there. Tony's in love. I almost thought I was going to hear Gidget or Tammy. You
Every time I
know,
see Genghis Khan, though, I think, what was John Wayne thinking? When he did Genghis Khan, it's like someone needed to shoot his manager. They
oh
should have
God.
never done that movie. They would have never got
Mm,
cancer if they never done that movie either, because that's
so
when they,
true.
Mm.
So true.
yeah, because they
So,
were all out there. They were out there filming that not too long after they were detonating atom bombs. And
yeah,
most people on that set had cancer. I mean, they all
yeah,
smoked a lot too, but still,
yeah. They died. Yeah. Yeah.
But I think the majority of the episode was to me was very standard. Let's grab the fort. Let's take care of that. And you had on top of that you had uh, Tony's infatuation with Sarit, but
Right.
it doesn't seem like they did too much with that infatuation, other than there wasn't anything really physical.
There
Uh,
wasn't nothing that could happen because they knew there wasn't nothing that could happen because she was going to end up having to marry whoever for her country anyway. So,
exactly, exactly. But you would have, I mean, there was just a lot of sweet nothings that they were murmuring in each other's ear. And in the meantime, Doug was very worried that Tony was going to stay there. But at the end of the episode, Tony realized he has no choice as to whether he wants to stay there or not because the tunnel's going to take him back,
one
and
way or the other.
that I think was what led to their little breakup talk, which again they handled it without any tears or any Peyton Place stuff or
Well, they couldn't have been too madly in love, could they? It's like
well,
two
what they
teenagers realizing, oh well, I'm going to college.
well, this wasn't teenager stuff. This was this was something, this is the two of them realized, gee whiz, we can't do it. We tried, but we can't do it. And that's what it really came down to. But there was something I know you liked. I know there was something you liked about the episode, Vicky, but I just think that there was an oomph that was lacking.
Oh no,
Uh,
I don't think there was a lot of but I did like that they tried to do something on a grand scale. I like
uh,
that they tried to do something different. They of course they're captured by Mongol forces, by Prince Baku and all that stuff, who wasn't a
mhm.
real person, and they encounter Marco Polo. They fall in Tony and Saeed fall in love, all that. But I mean, think about it, because as they're going through history, history is just nothing but war. I mean, countries
That's
coming and
right.
going. And so,
Well,
so
that's
they're
part
going
of
to
it.
run into the kind of like the same plot, because let's face it, war is the same thing, just different countries, and then faces change. And I mean, that's really one population fucking over another population is really history. And I mean, that's just the way it is. So, I mean, that's why you probably think it's kind of the same over and over, because history repeats itself over and over. And I
That's
think it
right.
stresses
But
it. I mean, you
but
notice it after a while.
but you also have long periods of time where there are peace,
Mhm.
where there's peace. It's just
Right.
that it's not as exciting as
No,
when
it
war
doesn't tell a good
occurs.
story. It's sort of like they say, no good story started with a salad, it's always over a beer. So, yeah. But I
And
mean,
then,
but Project TikTok, they were trying to send advanced artillery and detonator caps through the
oh,
time.
that's another thing that's another thing. I mean, if any of that advanced artillery had gotten through, history would have been changed.
Yeah,
Because,
completely. Can you imagine the Third Reich might have actually ended up with the atomic bomb, or something else? I mean,
sure.
but I think at that point they're not thinking about this. I don't know if Alan's just trying to get through the season now that he knows that they're not going to
That's
let it happen.
exactly what it was. Everyone Allen had known for months that they weren't going to be picked up, and so they were just trying to. Um, and you see that, with the exception of the next episode, and that's got to be the best teaser. The next episode, where they go back to King Arthur's time and Merlin brings them back
Yeah,
into the time tunnel. That's got to
yeah,
be the best teaser of all
yeah,
the teasers in that show. Because and
yeah.
I
That was
remember
so
when I was a
random
kid,
having
they're
Merlin.
back, they're back, you know, and and she says,
Merlin's
"Welcome,
random.
gentlemen." I'm
Yeah,
sorry.
that's random. Merlin. Yeah,
Yeah, it says, "Welcome, gentlemen. Welcome home." That was I remember I was a kid watching that. I said they're back. And then the whole thing, and then we won't talk about the next episode. At least I'm not going to talk about the next episode too much, but I think that was the one. I think that was the only episode where Tony and Doug were both on the tunnel set at the same time after they originally were separated. And I think that was it was a marvelous. Now, if they could have expanded on that, if they could have somehow expanded on that and kept Tony and Doug there for a while, that would have been quite interesting, and I think that would have
They should have just let Tony stay in the past with Sarita because they're going to cancel the show anyway. They could have done something with it. You're right. They could have made everybody happy, at least because it's sort of like I was watching. I watched a couple episodes of something or like one or two seasons, and they knew that the seasons were going to end, but they ended it properly because they knew the fan base would be happier. At least make it a nice ending. Try to tie it up just a little bit, but I don't think we're going to get that here. So
no. And in fact, there was no there was something that came out. I was talking about it last week. Somebody had done some research, and Irwin Allen had made a suggestion to ABC to wind it up with an episode where they do make it back, but it's a different, it's a parallel universe, and nobody knows who they are, and there is no time tunnel, and that's something that you can definitely catch if you need to. But that was really the only thing. They didn't intend to end it on. They didn't, ABC refused to take it, and so it just went into the
the
ether.
void in the annals of TV, basically, just like where everything goes. Think about it. Ever since we started doing this, though, a lot of other people have found the time tunnel. I know people that actually started watching it because they go, "Oh, that sounds kind of interesting." So they've actually started watching it. And they go, "Wow, it only has one season." I go, "Yeah, I know. It's kind of a bummer, but
And
There
even when they brought those smaller caps back, it was that they were able to fit onto the
did they ever get them there?" Well, they did, didn't they? Because they were actually using the making bombs. So
uh-huh uh-huh but and but even when they did, I mean, everything's in English, so
well, of course, it's sort of like going ghost hunting in different countries. It's like, you expect the ghost to talk in other languages. They don't just come
um,
out with English.
Jewel, what do you think of this? Do you think there was anything that could have been done to improve it so that it was more passable, or did you like it the way it was?
I think it could have been improved in this sense when you have an episode when you bring the boys back through magic, like the Merlin, and we'll talk about that here next week. But with this episode, you they could have made the decision, okay, we can leave Tony there and bring Doug forward, but the time tunnel is going to let us do it. They could have wrote that, but if you make that decision, you're left with a reason because you are left with a reason to go back if you do that. Whereas they could have, I'll get into what they could have played with Merlin next week because there's a lot there too.
Yeah.
Because that's a lot of fun. You're dealing with magic and science too, which is
Right.
fun for me. Now, for language understanding, like they didn't speak Mongolian. If you've ever, for anyone who's ever seen the movie, one of my favorite noir movie called Come the Third Man, when you watch Holly Martin character, he goes to Germany, and you notice in the movie there's no subtitles when you hear German language. It's because Holly Martins doesn't understand German language, and why should you? So if you would have had Mongolian language and Tony and Doug wouldn't have understood it, the audience wouldn't have understood it. So you got it's some writers and directors use that as a storytelling trope. Now they don't use that in this episode. I do wish they would have. Like they're
Hmm.
talking Mongolian and nobody understand. Tony and Doug don't understand it because why should they?
Well,
I
that's but
I
think
I mean nitpicky though, you know.
yeah, yeah.
Because I
but
just because I've
but
been doing this for 10 years, I just do that now. It's just like, oh,
I
I got being an asshole.
I do like the castle set designs. I like the
I do
torture
too.
sequence. I give this episode a 7.5. I think they did a good job for the suspense of it and the action of it. Because again, they know they're wrapping it up. They know they're not coming back, but they didn't
hmm
completely phone this episode in either.
seven and a
So
half, you give
there's
it?
that. Yeah.
Yeah, I would I agree with you. I'd give it a seven or a seven and a half.
I gave it a 7.
Um,
But I mean, I was just wasn't. I really just wasn't expecting one of the guys to have a romantic interest. Really, I figured they were too busy trying to get their ass back to 1968, or 67 before they'd,
68.
before they'd worry about, I was,
Well,
and
here's
that one of them would abandon the other. But
Well,
then
that
again,
was
well, we're not going to get home. I might as well be happy.
well, that was the one thing that it's where
And
it stood out from the other episodes to have one of the characters fall in love with one of the characters in the other time zone. And they thought
well,
that that was probably going to work. Um, but and maybe if they had had some other backup, I mean, other backup scenes, and to the development of the relationship. But in the meantime, all they could do was to get Doug to try and convince Tony, come on, this is ridiculous. Uh, let's get back. Let's get back to where we were. And Tony, but I kind of liked it what Tony said. The equivalent of, "Who are you, my Boy Scout?" You
yeah.
know, that I didn't expect Tony to. I didn't expect Tony to fight back the way he did. I mean, he was really pissed off at Doug.
Yeah, he was. Well, did you notice the part where when all those they're like the Mongols were pushing the soldiers off the cliff and the
Yeah,
horses were falling and everything else, and they're just standing down there just looking at all these people. I would have been horrified, and they're like, "Oh no, we got to move." It's just like, come on, either that or they're so. What's the word? What's the word when you just see something so much you're just deadened, you numb by it. Sort of like we are. We're not. It's desensitized by violence in movies most of the time because we've
I know
seen
what you're
it
talking
all.
about.
Especially people like us will watch anything. But I was just surprised that they didn't have a little more emotion in that moment for like, wow, what's going on? Where'd we hit? And I guess they knew they were in Mongolia right away, right?
hmm
They
yeah.
noticed by
Well,
the costume of the day.
I think you hit upon something. The whole show lacked emotion as
It didn't
far as
really have any feelings. It didn't. Even with
that
Tony
was
and
it.
this woman and Sari, but I mean, you didn't really buy it. It didn't
Yeah,
seem real.
yeah. And they made her sound like she was the most gorgeous thing
Ellen of
to come,
Troy.
to come along.
Yeah.
Please, I mean, she's very pretty and stuff like that. But I mean,
I don't see Tony throwing his whole life aside for her and Doug and trying to get back to TikTok, people.
I think they tried to make her look to make the actress look Chinese.
Well,
Uh,
it was the makeup. Okay, don't now you want to talk nitpicking. Okay, like Baku's makeup.
mhm.
I mean, was he sweating? Were they spraying him down, or was he dying because of all that latex on his head? I'm just saying the makeup was gray. I mean, I
Yeah,
mean, I just figured it's Irwin Allen. Hollywood's got makeup down by now, I would assume. And I guess maybe I was expected just a little bit better on that department.
I think you're right. And why didn't they didn't want to hire a Chinese actress. Then I think if they had done that, then you would have gotten censorship issues.
Maybe.
Uh, from ABC that how can an American be cavorting with, well, whatever happened to what was that Broadway play that William Shatner was in? The Bridge on the River. No, God.
No, not that's not the Bridge of the River Kwai.
I'm trying to think, and but they had interracial on Broadway, and
Well,
then
he was the didn't they with the first was that Captain Kirk and Lieutenant Uhura had the first interracial kiss, didn't
Elon of
they?
Troyes, and that was the actress, Franz Nguyen, Franz Nguyen, and she was the one who played Elon of Troyes in the third season of Star Trek, and but she was also with Shatner in that Broadway play, I believe, where she portrayed a an Oriental gal on and he met her on a ship, and the male character fell in love with her.
They don't.
And
Hello,
what, what's that?
you guys all right? Hello,
I can't. I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that.
you guys all right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Uh, oh, I'm the host now.
Oh, we lost
How'd
him.
that happen?
He
Or
got bumped.
he got off. He got off. Well, this is what happens, people, when you have
Have to get him back.
wonderful. Everybody decided, the heck with Jewel. Let's throw him off, and
Well, I guess if we have to wrap it up without
Vickie
him,
and I
he'll have
have
to
the
be
stage.
recording.
So now we gotta, so now we gotta wait until he comes back on.
There he
And
is.
there he is. There he is. He just came back. He
What
didn't
happened?
wait too long.
What
That happened
happened?
to me
You didn't
last
wait too
weekend.
long. You didn't want us stealing the show from you, did you?
Now, you guys froze up on me last week. Then, yeah, I got bumped. It happens.
Yep.
We come to the conclusion anyway, though. I gave it a 7. You give it a what?
Yeah.
I would give it a 7 or a 7.5. And I'm being generous if I say 7.5. Maybe I would give it more of a 7. Uh, and Jewel, you would give it what? Seven
Oh,
and a half?
7.5. 7.5.
I didn't think it totally bombed. I was just kind of annoyed that it didn't lack sincerity, I guess.
I
Yeah.
guess.
But
I guess.
I think too when you're going with a love like a semi love angle, and again when you have the potential of division between Tony and Doug over a woman, you either lean heavily into that or you don't. They didn't lean
Yeah.
heavy enough into it. I do like that aspect of it, but I mean, it's true. The Tom Tom is going to pull you anyway. So what's the point of falling in love, right? You
Hmm.
gotta. I think that's something the writers could have played with the time tunnel. Okay, what if it wasn't pulling the boys all the time? What if what
Right.
if they had to accomplish something before it would let them leave? That's
True.
something could have played with. But
This might have
yeah,
actually been an earlier, originally, it could have been scheduled as an earlier episode because in the first scene, they're talking more about, they're talking about the in the tunnel. They're talking about more about the mechanics of how the tunnel works and why can't they get them back and stuff like that. And at this point, we know all that by now. And they might, I don't know, but they might have considered originally this is an earlier episode, but they moved it back. And quite frankly, I'm glad they did because I don't think it had the strength to be really considered. Um, anyway, does anybody have anything else to say about this
No, no,
marvelous
I didn't hate it.
masterpiece?
I actually thought it was a fun episode. I just kind of was bummed about some of the, you just wasn't hitting it for me a little bit. I don't know.
Well, Anne was overruled,
Anne
And
was over emotional. She's always
yeah,
over emotional. She would not survive the 2000s.
but she wasn't that way originally, and they
No, she
changed her.
wasn't. She's getting really unprofessional as time's going on. Now she
That's
wants to
right.
leave Tony back in 1287. It's like, okay.
And they changed her. And they changed her, I think, to be more 1966.
Well,
Uh,
they're turning her into what they consider a docile woman, which is annoying. Don't turn her
it is
into
in
the
a way
shrieking woman.
because
Oh my God, I can't look. I can't watch. It's such bullshit.
they had established
Women are stronger than that.
they had established a framework for the character, and they should have kept with it. And I think they would have respected the cat I think the fans would have respected the character more. But I think again, ABC is so concerned about what they think the viewers are gonna.
Yeah.
Now you've got 30 million viewers watching each episode, and in the first episode, which was the Titanic, was 37 million viewers. So they've calculated that. You would think that with 30 million viewers, they could they could trust the public to make their own decisions, but they didn't, and that annoys me a little bit. And that could be coming out in my voice, and I apologize. But they really didn't uh, consider, and it's not just guys who were watching it. It's I can't talk about the demographics because I don't know whether they had it back then, but uh, just by the numbers, that was something. It wouldn't have lost. Let's say the episode was so horrible, they wouldn't have lost that much. But anyway, that's my 2 cents. And now it's my nickel because there's no more pennies.
Nope. There
So
isn't.
that's right. So anybody else have anything to say?
Nope, I'm good. I got my
Uh,
2 cents out.
no.
We're good, Jewel. So next Sunday then will be the
Ain't that
Merlin episode. And I forget the name, I forget the title. Uh, I kind of like the guy who played Merlin. I thought I thought he was cool. I thought he was cool, but once again, that's got the best teaser in the show.
Yeah.
So next Sunday at 8,
Next Sunday
Sunday
night,
it
guys.
at
is.
7
Link to the
Vicky's.
literary license podcast will be in the description box. You can get Vickie Ray and Tom Hotz on Facebook. Message them. They're huge dark shadows and they're very nice people. Uh, I'll see you guys next Sunday. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
All right. Y'all have a good
Take
one.
care and happy
Yep.
birthday, Vicky.
Oh, thanks.
Bye bye.
Nice dog.